With Natlan's release, we've gotten 2 new artifact sets. Today, we'll be talking about the lore of the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, an artifact set that details how 5 tribes of Natlan dealt with the Cataclysm 500 years ago, with hints to an ancient city with a secret treasure, as well as some hints as to what the deal is with the 3 unreleased tribes in the game right now, those being the Collective of Plenty, the Flowerfeather Clan, and the Masters of the Nightwind. What's really interesting about this artifact set is how it relates to Mualani's words in the Archon Quest about how the Abyss sent personalized attacks to all the tribes of Natlan. We see how these attacks were especially effective against each of the tribes, and how that drove certain people to seek this mysterious treasure within Oka Natlan. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into the lore of the artifact set. The Flower of Life is called the Beast Tamer's Talisman, and it details how the Scions of the Canopy dealt with the Cataclysm 500 years ago. We are told that this artifact was left in a place called Cinder City, and that it was a talisman passed on by the Beast Tamers of the Scions of the Canopy. We are told a little about what the Beast Tamers actually do. Apparently, this is an organization that focuses on befriending Saurians, no matter how difficult, hostile, or unfriendly they might be. This is in contrast to the Saurian Hunters, who were briefly mentioned here. It seems like the Saurian Hunters and the Beast Tamers are kind of like rivals, judging from the wording in this artifact. It is said that these Beast Tamers were dedicated to settling matters peacefully, with even the most vicious Saurians, but all that changed when the Abyss came to Natlan. We are introduced to a young beast tamer who came back to his city to find Saurians running amok, destroying his home, almost like the Abyss corrupted their minds. We are told that this beast tamer believed that the only way to deal with these abyssal monsters was with patience, but it is unclear what is meant by the word patience. Perhaps he wants to cleanse these corrupted Saurians of their abyssal powers, or perhaps he's given up his pacifist approach and is killing these Saurians, but patient enough to know that in the end, it will be for the greater good. What's even more mysterious, however, is that apparently, the legends say that an ancient Python king once created a treasure that could be used to repel the Abyss, but this treasure could only be retrieved within a filth-ridden city. However enigmatic this rumor might be, this beast tamer was desperate enough to listen to it, and upon reaching the end of his journey, he would eventually make it to this burnt-out city, and be faced with a secret long buried. Of course, that's where the artifact description ends. You'll kind of realize that this is a theme with this artifact set. We end up meeting a bunch of heroes, and the description ends when they make it to this mysterious city. We actually don't know what happens when the heroes do manage to reach this city, so we'll just have to find out at another place in time. Moving right along, the Plume of Death is called the Mountain Ranger's Marker, and it details what happened to the people of the Springs when the Cataclysm came to Natlan. We are introduced to an organization known as the Mountain Rangers, and these folks are basically an exploration guild in Natlan, who committed every inch of Natlan's landscape to memory, and served as guides whenever Outlanders came to Natlan. We are told that the feathers that they used to mark the paths they trod now lay silently in the ash-laden ancient city, and that, just as these people hoped, nobody would come to this city ever again. What a mysterious place, this ancient city, but that's besides the point. When the Abyss came to attack the people of the Springs, it left their hot springs in desolation. Then we are told of the story of the final Mountain Ranger, and how he heard of a powerful treasure in an ancient city guarded by a foul dragon. Apparently, this treasure was a golden wheel that could reverse time, bringing back the beautiful past. This Mountain Ranger decided to make this ancient city his final stop, and it's insinuated that this legend might be some trap laid out by a heartless spectator. Of course, we do not learn what happened to this Mountain Ranger, as this artifact leaves us there. Bummer. Next up, we have the Sands of Aeon, the Mystic's Golden Dial, and this is where things get interesting, because we get to learn a bit about the tribes whose territories we are unable to explore at the moment. In this case, we get to learn a bit about how the Abyss attacked the Masters of the Nightwind. We are told that the Mystics of the Canyon would have to train for decades before learning the techniques required to communicate with the Wyab. However, when the Abyss attacked, even the most inexperienced of disciples were required to face the battlefield and guide the heroic spirits of the fallen back home. This proved to be a challenge because the Abyss also invaded the Night Kingdom and drowned out the voices of the Wyab. We are then told of a young mystic named Liriwu, who embarked on a journey with a group of mystics. Their goal was to reach the city above the clouds, which is quite weird because the wiki describes this city as Celestia, but I disagree. I think the city above the clouds is the same city that the other artifact pieces describe, the ancient city with the mysterious treasure. Liriwu's group knew that she was inexperienced, so they left her quietly before reaching the city. When Liriwu caught up, all she saw was the remains of her group, the remains of the dragon's hearty meal. Not only did she fail to save her allies, but she was unable to return their souls. Yet the leader of her tribe said that he had a son, so that became Liriwu's new hope for the future. The goblet of the set is called the Wandering Scholar's Claw Cup, and it tells us how the Collective of Plenty dealt with the Cataclysm. We learn that their tribe is located in the Fertile Lands, where martial prowess prevails, but even in this environment, there are still those who are only interested in books and knowledge. We are introduced to the president of the Saurian Relics Association, who spent days tampering with mysterious machines, and also made some items from time to time, including the Saurian Claw Goblet. When the Abyss attacked, however, all the scrolls he had learned from were burnt, but his knowledge had come in handy. He had once read that the ruins of the ancient dragons contained weapons capable of defeating abyssal creatures, so to prevent any more of his comrades from dying in vain, this scholar put his research aside and dedicated the rest of his life to a new cause. He turned the mysterious machines he kept tinkering with into warriors who aided the Collective of Plenty in their fight against the Abyss before journeying into the Forbidden City. It is hinted that a wise sage's hand was helping this scholar along his journey, and when he finally reached the city, he found a secret. Apparently, the Python King of Natlan once built a sky-faring treasure ship, and within this ship was a prize that could drive the Abyss from Tevat. Everyone who sought out this treasure never came back from their travels, but this scholar was determined, and joined a group of adventurers to bring home this treasure. Of course, this is where the artifact description stops. We do not know what happened to this scholar, but once again it is mentioned that this mysterious city is up in the clouds. Finally, we have the Circlet of Logos, called the Demon Warrior's Feather Mask, and we are told of a warrior from the Flower Feather clan named Taika. We are told that the Flower Feather clan regularly hosts combat tournaments, and the most popular of these contestants wore masks. However, Taika wore a feathered mask in the semblance of a falcon, and the audience would go silent whenever he participated in these tournaments. He was the mightiest warrior of the Flower Feather clan, and these competitions were boring to him, so often did he win them. Then came the Abyss. He said goodbye to his wife and unborn child before setting off to fight the monsters of the Abyss, where eventually he reached the apex of Cinder City. This was the last battle of his life, and as he collapsed amidst a pool of blood within the city, he saw the fiery red flames of the ancient land bloom like flowers. He says, "The gates of hell are stained red by the flowing blood of the brave. Let me offer my blood and leave the key to those gates with my child." We learn that, before Taika departed from his wife, he told her to name the child Bona, if it is a girl. And that's where we leave Taika. So, that was a lot of lore from all the different tribes of Natlan. The mystique of this mysterious city, named Natlan, is obviously the biggest mystery that we're left with after reading the lore of this artifact set, and I can't possibly begin to imagine what prize is sealed within this city. However, I think I might know where this city is. See, Natlan was mentioned quite a bit in the quest between Pledge and Forgettance. We learned that Natlan lies across a narrow stretch of water, north of the Flower Feather clan, and that in modern times, it's a ruined city. And what do you know? If you stand near the northern Natlan boundary and look northwards, there is a huge, monolithic structure that has quite an odd shape. I believe this to be Natlan, and it's definitely giving future playable area vibes. The city of Natlan also might connect to the lore of the Unfinished Reverie. In that artifact set, the Scarlet-Eyed Hero teamed up with a group of warriors to defeat the tyrannical ruler of an ancient city. This city might have been Natlan, and the tyrant this Scarlet-Eyed youth killed might have been this Python King. There's more to this era of ancient Natlan as well, but I believe those details are best saved for a video covering the lore of the Obsidian Codex. Just know that the history of Natlan is starting to make a lot more sense with these new world quests and new artifact sets. Hope you folks all like this video, and I hope to see you soon.